This auspicious day, it's a historical day for us. God has given us this opportunity and that courage that we can, for the sake of our country, we have decided to take a step in the name of defense, because this was imperative for us. In 1974, when Bharat exploded the first atomic explosion, and at that time we did not know anything about the atomic science except for the peaceful purposes. But that experiment actually just told us about the other dangers. So whenever we try to just tell the world about this intransigence of Indian expansionism, then Bharat always said that we are doing everything for the Chinese danger, and we insisted that the country was doing it against Pakistan. Because China, as compared to India, was several times more powerful and still against expansionism. When India is an expansionist country, we tried to point this out to the world, but the big powers never paid any attention, and they kept on believing the wrong claims of the Indian leaders. So in this situation, our concern was very natural. We tried in every way. We tried to express our fears. I even said that America, China and Russia could mediate this problem, and they could take South Asia out of this arms race. So our actually attitude shows it clearly that we never wanted to be a part of the arms race. If we wanted, we could have done this 15, 20 years ago and done this atomic experiment. But we knew the poverty and it's a very downtrodden area, and our people are actually deprived of the basic necessities of life. So we just wanted that this race, if we have to have one, not in the name of arms, but in economic affairs. So we tried to just do things to defend ourselves against India, and we kept on asking the world that the world should stop India from this arms race that it was contemplating. But instead of putting any pressure on India, without any sin of ours, we were actually subjected to lots of restrictions. Even then, we kept our cool. And we actually wanted to just believe the powers, the big powers that they had promised. And we thought that whatever campaign is being run against India about this atomic, it will bear some positive results. But what did we get about all this? Actually, there were atomic explosions in our borders. There were missiles pointing towards our country, and we were actually threatened that because we have done this atomic, we have changed the balance of power. And then we were just warned that according to new circumstances, you better learn how to live with your heads bowed. And they were actually threatened that even Azad Kashmir will be taken over from you. So this type of rulers, do you think they deserve to have these atomic explosions? They have just done 5 explosions, and they are just talking to their neighboring country. They just don't even know how to talk to us diplomatically. They actually just lost total ways of civilization, how to be civil, how to be diplomatic. And then what they were doing, they were actually trying to threaten the millions and millions of people. And now they are putting atom bombs on the missile, and they are announcing that we are going to use them. The way India has actually exploited the world opinion, and they have not taken any, they should have, without any hesitation, they should have been put to all those restrictions. But in Security Council, They did have a resolution, and they should have put on some effective restrictions on India. But I'm sorry to say, nothing was done. Now, there was nothing done so that India could just realize that it was doing something which is wrong. And the ones that were put on India were not actually effective at all. So, for our security, we do tell them that there are certain countries like China who have sided with us, who have supported us in our defense. And Pakistan-China friendship has come out with flying colors in every test, and it has been very effective. So we are very proud of this honorable neighbor of ours. Even Japan, its position is understandable because that's the only country which was subjected to this degradation and this destruction, because there were 2 cities of it were totally destroyed. So we think if Japan had atom bomb at that time, so then Nagasaki and Hiroshima would never have been destroyed. American President Bill Clinton, I talked to him 5 times on telephone, and he was very sympathetic. And I actually am very obliged to him. I think that Mr. Clinton understood our limitations and what pressure we are on. But the thing was that India is going so fast that someone has to stop it. The security of this area, we had to do something in its response to those explosions. So for us, we just could not understand that Bharat is being told after making all those atomic explosions that it should sign the CTBT agreement and it should not do any other explosion. If it does that, then he will be pardoned of its sins. And now we are told that we should be careful and we should not do anything in haste. But I am telling you that I am not a leader of a coward and people who are coward. My people are proud. And the Indian leaders have been just telling all those inflammatory statements. The Pakistani people are very proud people. And for their honor, they will go for any sacrifice, even die. If they could have just been people who could just bow against the intransigence, then it would have been different. But Pakistani people are not of this nature. If the enemy challenges you, then Pakistani people will never back off of any sacrifice. And I am very thankful and proud that my people believe in me. And it is the courage of those people which, with my belief in my people, that I have been given this opportunity. I decided to just go take this step. And I know that you have passed through all those turbulences in these times. But believe me, I have been with you throughout these tough times. And whatever you hope, your hopes are, those hopes are becoming actually the beacon for me to go ahead. And you have shown the world that none of us will ever bow against our enemy. And we just don't care about comforts. We don't care about rewards. For the sake of our honor, we are fighting and we are just standing tall in all those difficulties. And we have just set aside all those religious and all those language barriers, and we have become one nation. We have decided to go through this test, and God willing, we will see that it will actually give us those powers which have been hidden and sleeping at this time. So whatever we have not been able to do in 50 years, we will complete now, God willing. My country friends, my dear friends, Bharat has used so many Agni as in Prithvi missiles, but you know But when we use just one Gauri missile, you know what happens. And in these last few days, those atomic explosions that India has done, we have also taken care of that, and we have also exploded 5 atomic explosions. And I thank God that He gave us that capability that we could do these 5 explosions. Whatever we have done is actually the decision of the Pakistani people. They said, Nawaz Sharif, go ahead, we are with you. And when you use these slogans, then I used to think, oh God, whatever step my people want me to take, what step is that step? And then I found the answer, what step that was. History has brought us on crossroads, historic crossroads. One road goes towards slavery and the other goes towards freedom. One goes towards comfort and ease, and the other one goes through all those tests, and finally the revolution. One side is for the food, and the other side is for the heart. You know, the fate of the nations always have been decided by people who have taken to their heart. Today, once again, someone wants to take someone's test. The atomic fires are just spreading all over and want us to go through this test. And I thank God that we have taken the same road that has been decided as for God. And without any fear, we have just jumped into this fire and accepted the challenge. Now heart has done what it could. Now it's up to the people to keep on thinking and finding out how did it happen and why did it happen. Now the question is about the restrictions. First of all, it is not just for us to be put to these restrictions. We have waited a long time that if someone could stop India and give it a lesson that world should learn, and it could just leave its aggressive design and use the road to peace, then we would never have gone through this atomic explosion experiments. We had to do it just for the sake of our security. The world actually should not believe what India says, that the country will never be the first one to use the atomic weapons. And if someone attacks India, then they'll use the big bomb. But the thing is, who's going to decide about that? That who attacked Bharat and when? In 1965, they told that Pakistan was the aggressor. And then in 1971, India said it again, that Pakistan was the aggressor. And then we lost 50% of our land. And today, now they are threatening that we are going to take Azad Kashmir by force. So we had to just fight against this aggression. But even then, the world wants us to go through these economic restrictions. Then I would think maybe God wants this. God wants us to go through this test. And this is the road to peace. And, the defense equipment was stopped, restricted. Then they put the economic restriction, and I know for sure that we'll come out with it through flying colors. And, the nations of people, courageous people, will always find some way to go through it. So whenever some problem has come to this nation, it has never backed out of sacrificing even the life and the money. And against the difficulties, Pakistani people actually work even more hard, and they actually do more sacrifices, and they go through it with courage and determination. So I'm sure that even today we'll just come out with it in flying colors. In the last 50 years, whatever we have not been able to show, we'll show it now. My countrymen, my people, my sisters, my elders, my friends, I, in this test, will go through it with you. And I just tell you, and you should believe me, that all these tests and all the comforts will just stop. And these big buildings, these big offices, everything will be devoted for the service of the country, for the service of the people. These big residential houses will all be devoted for your comfort. We'll just make them into schools, in hospitals, in women's universities, and some of them will be sold, so just we could just get through our loans. The Prime Minister's building, I have just told the government that I'm just leaving that, and I'll just live a very simple life, and my government will lead a simple life. Now, how will we use these things? This will be decided by the Central Cabinet. And you'll be happy to note that the President of the country is 100% with me in these decisions. All the provincial governors, all the chief ministers, all the federal ministers, all the 3 chiefs of the Army, Navy and Air Force, all the civil and officials, they are all with me in this good work for the sake of the patient. My dear friends, no nation has come out and survived without any sacrifice, and it can never become strong without these sacrifices. So if you want to build your future, you have to just forego lots of comforts of the present. What have we been doing? We actually were trying to beautify our present, and we have just mortgaged our future for that. And I think, I wish this day could have come a lot earlier, so that we could just learn to live within our means.